What's going on, everybody? I'm Primalliquid and welcome to my guide for Atelier Yumia, the latest entry into the Atelier franchise. Now, in this video, we're going to be going over the skill tree and everything related to it, including what skills you can get and the optimal order to unlock them. Seriously, do not make the same mistakes that I did. There are a lot of skills that sound good, but are actually incredibly terrible and a huge waste of skill points. And unlike previous titles, skill points this time around are a little bit more annoying to farm and acquire. However, I do have a decent guide down below in the description for that. Just check the playlist if you want to quickly farm SP points. Just note, it's going to be nowhere near as fast as previous titles like Ryza. It is a grind, but it can be worthwhile, especially for a couple of the skills that we're about to touch on. So, first things first, let's actually take a look at the skill tree. Now, unlike, say, Atelier Ryza, the skill tree is broken down into 3 sections. There's the synthesis section, the exploration section, and the combat section. Now, unlike previously, you will not unlock any recipes from the skill tree, okay? There is literally 0 recipes in the skill tree to unlock. This means we're actually quite simplified in how we're going to progress with the skill tree. First things first, though, the combat skill tree. Ignore this, okay? Some of the things might be a little bit nice to have, but you do not need this early on, especially when skill points are a little bit harder to acquire. So, to start with, okay, when you first get the access to the skill tree, you are going to pick up Conserve Materials 1 and Quality Control. These are by far the 2 most important abilities that you should get first. Why? Well, the abilities themselves are honestly kind of terrible. It does give you access to quality ratings on items, but again, that's completely pointless early on. What it does give you access to, though, is the particle conversion, which you won't really be utilizing super early. You'll more be using this around Region 2 or later in Region 1. After that, you are going to get Conserve Materials 2. Okay, again, it's pretty terrible. It's just an extra item from simple synthesis, as there are 2 forms of synthesis in this game, but we're not going to talk about them in this video. So these 4 skills are going to be the first ones you definitely need to get. Now, these 4 are pretty terrible in general. So why exactly are we going for these 4? Because it gives you access to particle gathering. This is hands down, by far, the most important skill in the skill tree, okay? The sooner you get this, the better your life will be. Let me break it down. There are 2 ways to acquire particles in the game. One of them is via just a random spawning gathering, where sometimes you'll get quite a lot, sometimes you won't get any for literally hours and hours and hours. Another sort is via battling at giant crystals that can randomly spawn on the map. This is very similar to the actual particle gathering. However, again, they're pretty rare. So you can either get a big bunch of them in a really quick order, or you can struggle and, just go hours without getting any. What this does, okay, is this increases the amount of particles you get and the variety of particles. So let me just quickly go over to my recipe station. So this is why particles are really important, okay? You use particles to unlock recipes and then to rank the recipes up. So what this means is the Grand Organ here, for example. At level 1, okay, all you can do is synthesize the item. This is a very, very basic synthesis where you are really not going to get much of anything worthwhile on the item. You instead need to rank it up to level 10 to increase the base quality, increase the quantity of the item you get, and you also add extra effects and slots to the item. This is very, very, very important. And if we take a look at particle list right here, as you can see, there are 4 elements of particles. There's red, blue, yellow, and green. Now, this is anger, sorrow, joy, and delight. Again, just ignore the weird names. Just refer to them as the color. That's all I'm going to do anyway. Now, when you start off with being able to gather particles, you can automatically, naturally gather the first tier. So those are the 4 colors at the very top. Okay, so you can get the first red, the first blue, the first yellow, and the first green. These are the very, very basic ones, which pretty much all recipes use to unlock the item. However, you'll pretty much never use them past level 3 or level 4 of leveling the items up. You're not really going to struggle to get these, okay? These are best gathered from fighting the giant crystals that I talked about, but again, I am going to have a particle farming guide in the description, as there are a couple of tricks to make life a lot easier with this. However, you still want this skill ASAP because it's going to save you so much time in the long run. Once you get the first particle gathering skill, it lets you get the second tier of particles. So that's the second red, the second blue, the second yellow, and the second green, and so on and so forth. These ones are a lot more valuable than the first ones, and you're going to be using these into late game as well. And likewise, there is the final tier of particles, by far the hardest ones to get. Okay, now if we go back to the skill tree, we've just talked about the first particle skill, which of course lets you gather the second tier. However, further down, we have another conserve materials. Honestly, it's terrible, but you've got to get it anyway, because your goal, first and foremost, is particle gathering 2. This lets you gather the final tier of particles. The sooner you get this, okay, the easier your life is going to be. This is your number 1 priority. Okay, literally, I cannot stress this enough. I did not get this skill until I want to say I was halfway through the second area, and it sucked. Okay, well, the skill itself didn't suck. I'm just on about it sucked because I didn't get it earlier. Okay, I lost out on about 20 hours worth of farming particles, which is a huge, huge amount. So definitely this is your number 1 focus. You want this ASAP. Ideally, you will get this probably around halfway through the first region. Okay, that is your number 1 focus. I literally cannot stress this enough. Okay, right. Okay, you've got your particle gathering. Great, game complete. Not quite, but probably not far off, to be fair. Okay, so you've got your particle gathering. What do you focus on next? Well, first of all, you can ignore this left-hand side. So this is solely related to traits. You do not start the game with these automatically available. You have to progress through the story until you can actually unlock these to upgrade. Honestly, you can ignore these for pretty much the entire game, okay? Maybe pick up the very first one, but the last 2 you can ignore pretty much until you're in the final area. I really wouldn't bother with these because you simply do not have the resources to make use of them early on. Likewise, over on the right-hand side as well, you have synthesis skills. Again, you do not start the game with these. You can get 2 of these skills, if I'm not mistaken, by progressing through the story naturally. And then it's either the final 3 or the final 2. I'm pretty sure it's the final 3, though, that do not unlock until you have completed the game. Now, these can be kind of important. Pick up the first one as soon as you unlock it, as you do get some nice synthesis abilities, but do not go out of your way if you are in a rush to unlock something else. These are handy, but not super amazing. Definitely nowhere near as good as some synthesis skills were in the previous titles, at least until you get to post-game, because the final one is freaking insane. Okay, so after that, you can obviously get your item rebuilding, and then you've just got your quality increasing traits. Now, again, you can ignore these until later in the game. You really do not need to worry about quality early on. This is by far the easiest Atelier game in a very, very long time. I don't have perfect equipment by a long shot. I don't have perfect items. I have very, very basic traits, and I literally destroy everything on charismatic difficulty in post-game. So, yeah, quality, not super important just yet. As for item rebuilding, Again, it's not like Atelier Ryza. This is, honestly, I can't understand why rebuilding is in the game. It's not super important when it comes to making perfect equipment. There are some ways you could probably make use of it to get a couple of extra stats, but realistically speaking, it is entirely unnecessary, at least until the DLC comes out and we see what sort of boss we have there. So, obviously, your first point of call is going to be going down the particle gathering tree, and then you're actually done with synthesis, obviously. Everything else can be gotten later. Just get particle gathering 2 and then move on. So, the next order of business is going to be exploration, because obviously we're ignoring combat. Now, when it comes to exploration, you will start the game with all of these, and let me just say one thing, completely ignore the right-hand side. This is all for food. Food items in this game are freaking terrible, aside from the fact they only last a couple of minutes, while arguably the best one only lasts for 13 minutes at its most optimal level. Half of the camping spots are bugged and you actually can't camp at them. This means that you are massively going to have to go out of your way to actually make food that you can use. And then it only lasts for a couple of minutes. So again, you can ignore this. This is probably what you're going to pick up to complete your skill tree, okay? You literally do not need any of these whatsoever. Now, when you are here, we're going to do a little bit of mixing and matching. So you've already got your particle gathering. Once you've got that, you're going to move over to exploration and you are going to go down the left-hand side to get the gathering upgrades. So this upgrades the rank of your gatherable ingredients. Now, what I would personally suggest, okay, is if you go down and get the first 4 of these upgrades. So you want the first 2 of the normal gathering upgrades, and then you want the first 2 of the items from shooting upgrades. So these are definitely the first 4 you get after particles. Why? Well, obviously they are not the final tiers. You still have 2 more. However, it is going to make your life much, much simpler getting access to slightly higher rank materials. After that, you are going to then get these 3 abilities right here. So these 2 are just going to be the number of ingredients you get from gathering. So again, it is going to be a help. Then we have the bag expansion. Realistically, I wouldn't include this. However, it is pretty cheap and it does help out a little bit just to have a little bit more space in your exploration bag. Now note, the exploration bag is not what your materials go in. This is just what you take some items out with, not items you use in fight. This is like repair boxes and stuff like that for treasure chests and doors. The base size is not super amazing, but honestly, neither is the perfect size. So, you know, it is what it is. Just get these free after you've got these upgrades on the left-hand side. And then you can actually ignore the rest down here for the time being, because what you want to do then is go all the way down the left-hand side. I know it gets really, really expensive, but it's worth it. This will allow you to then gather S-rank items. And these are items that you are going to be using the entire way of the game. And post-game, of course. Now, the sooner you get these, the easier your life is going to be, because obviously it means less backtracking to get higher rank versions of earlier items, and so on and so forth. Also, when you do get an S-rank item, for the love of God, make sure you keep at least 1. Okay, keep at least 1 S-rank material. Never, ever, ever run out of 1 S-rank. Nice little tip there. Okay, so once you've got these 4, well, once you've finished off, I should say, your exploration left-hand side, so you've got particle gathering, you went down and got the first 4 upgrades here, then you got the extra gathered items here, and then you finished off the entirety of the left side. At this point, you should definitely be in Region 2, unless you went overboard and grinded all the SP out in Region 1, in which case, you're my kind of person. But yeah, once you've got that, it's now time to just go down the middle tree, okay? We're going to get more gathered items here, both from gathering and from shooting. Then you're going to get the next bag expansion level, which is kind of nice. And then, of course, you're going to get the final gathering amount upgrade. Super, super important that you get these. Word of note as well, you do not actually need to get this very final one. Decreases the difficulty of actions like lockpicking. Honestly, I got this and I saw literally zero difference, okay? I don't know if the skill is bugged or what, but treasure chests are ridiculously easy to open with lockpicking regardless. So I really think this is just a waste of SP. Pick it up if you really, really want to, but you can pretty much ignore it. Okay, so we've done the left side, you've done the middle of exploration, you've got your important syntheses. We're completely ignoring the entire right side of exploration. What next? Well, at this point, since you're probably in Region 2, that means you have the first of the synthesis skills, and I think you have the first tier of traits as well. I could be mistaken on that. But either way, if you do, simply go ahead and get quality to 300. Okay, this is probably all you need until like the final area. Once you get that, you can definitely make some really, really strong gear and really strong items as well, which, you know, it's all you really need early on, regardless of difficulty. Going higher than that is possible, but you're going to spend a huge amount of time that isn't really that worth it in the first region. Once you've got quality 300, we're actually going to start finally working on combat. I know, we're finally here. So you're going to pick up Friend Actions 1 first and foremost in combat. You can pick this up earlier if you really, really want to. It is cheap. However, this is mainly for item usage. It makes items a lot stronger is the TLDR for this. On the bright side though, regular combat is actually better than items early on. Okay, items are not going to be super amazing in the first region unless you literally grind for a very, very long time to farm SP to really make some good items. So I would pick this up a little bit later than the game typically suggests, okay? Once you have that though, we're now going to go through all of the drop rate increases. You can pick up the EXP if you want to. It's completely pointless though. You'll hit level 100, the max level in the game, way before the end of the game. Like, it's not even close. I was level 100 in the third region. That is how quick you level up in this game. It is an absolute joke. So once you've got the drop rate ingredients, you're going to move over to the right-hand side where you can also upgrade the rare drops as well. And that is going to be your first point of call. Okay, you really, really want these. After you have that, okay, you are going to want to then move over to Mana Up 1. Honestly, not super amazing. This is more for the special abilities in Yumia in fights where you get a mana gauge during the actual fights. It's not super amazing though. Some items are a lot better than this, especially by the time you really get to take advantage of it. So you can kind of ignore this, but you really, really want the final drop rate enhancement. Now, I know this is the same symbol over here. However, this is an entirely different skill. You can ignore that for a while. But yeah, definitely get the final drop rate enhancement. And then you will get the environmental mana. Now, this is not particles. This is simply for fights, okay? This will unlock the mana gauge for you and allow you to use some really strong overpowered attacks. Well, I say overpowered. They're not overpowered, but it'll allow you to use some really strong attacks. Chances are, though, you're not really going to take advantage of this. And then you're going to move over the far left-hand side and just get the extra support items and the number of times you can use friendship skills. Once you've got that, it's actually pretty simple. You're just going to clean up what you don't have. Okay, so you're going to finish off the quality, you're going to finish off your trades, you're going to finish off your synthesis skills. I mean, granted, get the synthesis skills when they appear. You're going to ignore the exploration right-hand side until it's literally the last thing you're going to spend SP on. And then you're just going to pick up the remaining little odds and bobs left around the actual skill tree. And again, guys, I cannot stress this enough, okay? I know I've said it about 100 times over. For the love of God, get Particle Gathering 2 first. This will save you so much heartache, okay? For reference, all I've been doing in the last about 6 hours is farming particles to unlock and max out all of these items. And as you can see, There's still a lot that I need to do, but of course, I'm out of large particles. That's why I say the sooner you can gather these, the better you are going to be, okay? But though, everybody, that is going to be it for this video about the skill tree. I hope it's really helped. If it has, please be sure to drop a comment down below, letting me know what you think. And of course, leave a like on the video as it helps tremendously. And of course, down below in the description is my Atelier playlist, where you will find tons and tons of guides for anything and everything that you will need to know. Thanks for watching though, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one.